what we're actually going over is the true identity of the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Houston, when you look at this sign, what would you say your race is? Which one would your father's race be?
Which one would my father's race be?
Correct.
According to my teacher, my father was Israelite.
Your father was Israelite, so you know you're Israelite.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. If you already know you were Israelite, what things are you doing to help change our community today?
I don't know if I'm doing it.
Huh?
I don't know if I'm doing it. Very little. See, because the way we were raised up.
Okay, how was you raised up?
I'm not talking about how my father was raised up. I'm talking about the people that raised all of us, the folks that had the power over all of us, how they taught us.
Like what? What you talking about? No, just give me a little bit. You say the way we was raised. The people who had the power over to raise us. What do you mean by that?
Well, they didn't teach us to be good citizens. They didn't bring our ancestors here to be good citizens.
Okay.
They brought them here to use them.
Right.
Just like they did the farmers.
Go to Leviticus 19 and verse 17. I'm going to show you something, right? That may be true, but what is our responsibility within our own community? Because it's okay. We've been taught also, Houston, to blame other people for our actions.
Right.
Right? So within our own community, how do we treat each other? Like we was taught to treat each other? Watch this. Read what you got.
Leviticus chapter 19, verse 17. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart.
When you look at our community, Houston, do you see that going on? Hatred? Hatred in our community? A lot of misunderstanding, right? Read it again.
Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor.
So Houston, I can tell just from speaking for you from this short of time that you have wisdom on you. You know you are Israelite, and you know that we was taught incorrectly. But it said what? Love is what?
Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor, and not suffer sin upon him.
So he said by any wise, we should rebuke our neighbors. So Houston, if you have the wisdom to know that we was taught incorrectly, God says your job is to correct your community.
I do what I can.
Huh?
I do what I can.
Okay, Leviticus 5 and 1. Huh?
It's hard to get a lot of folks that's really screwed up, man, to understand where you're coming from.
Okay.
To speak to them, especially when you the dude on the block. They don't want to hear that.
All right. So look, we look at how long you been in this community, Houston? How long you been around here?
I've been back here about 30 years. I came here when I was 16, but I left and came back about 30 years ago.
All right. So about 30 years ago, have you seen drugs selling in this community? Have you seen people using drugs in this community?
If you hang around for a little while, you'll see them using them too.
Huh?
If you hang around for a little while, you'll see them using them too.
Yeah, you'll see them using them as well.
Yeah.
You see people stealing in this community?
Ooh, it's sold from me.
Prostituting in this community?
Yeah.
So Houston, what is your job when you see those things occur?
What is my job?
When you see those things occur? Because you said you're the only one doing it. But Houston, that's not true. You got brothers out here with you.
I didn't say I was the only one. I simply said I'm the dude on the block. Everybody knows they don't want to hear that from me.
Why not?
I mean, I'm just listening to you today.
Watch this.
They gotta hear you. I understand that. Because see, my dad taught me all of this stuff from that same book.
You sure?
Yeah.
Watch this. Watch this. I'm going to show you something that he probably missed. Read.
Leviticus chapter 5, verse 1. And if a soul sin,
You've seen much sin in these 30 years, Houston, that you've been back in Palm Beach, right?
and hear the voice of swearing, and is a witness whether he have seen or known of it.
You said that you sometimes, if you stay around long enough, you will see him using it. You've been a witness to it as well, read.
If he do not utter it,
If you don't say something, right? If you don't correct them, right? Read.
then he shall bear his iniquity. He shall bear his iniquity.
You will bear the same sins of the people you doing sin in, Houston. Uh-huh.
I know you understand what I'm
So, let me ask you a question. Do you do drugs, Houston? Do you smoke, drink, overdrink?
I used to do all of that crap. I don't do none of that.
But you cleaned yourself up, right?
I'll be 75 years
So this
before your time.
go, give me that in Judah chapter 8 and verse 24. You know what my fear is, Houston? My fear is that if they're not listening to you, you're probably not showing the correct example. You understand what I'm saying? Because when we come out to the cities and teach, they'll see the example of the men. They'll see the discipline. They'll see we're not smoking, we're not drinking, we're taking care of our wives. Read what you
Judah chapter 8, verse 24. Now therefore, O brethren, let us show an example.
We're supposed to do what?
Show an example.
Houston, you're supposed to show an example. What's the example you think you should show, Houston, as an elder on this earth?
Basically, it's the same thing that you're talking about right there.
Like what?
Like what you just said, like what this man just spoke. You, people hear it every day. They ain't doing
Because you got to do what? Read it again.
Verse 24. Now therefore, O brethren, let us show an example to our brethren.
Houston, do you believe that more people are taught by what they see than what you actually tell them? Maybe, right? So are you keeping the commandments, Houston? Are you keeping the commandments?
All of us got something. A lot of us fail to see them, but we got it.
But are you trying to keep the commandments? Watch this. Go to Numbers 15, verse 38. Houston, I'm going to give you an easy commandment. Because you say you know you're an Israelite, right? What tribe were you from, Houston? So where's your father from? You say it was Israelite, but it's 12 tribes. Which tribe were you from? Okay, from the tribe of Judah. All praises. Let me show you something that was commanded of the children from Judah, from the tribe of Israel. Read.
Numbers chapter 15, verse 38. Speak unto the children of Israel and bid them that they make them fringes in the border of their garments throughout their generation.
Houston, do you know what fringes are? Fringes, you know what that is? Read it again.
Speak unto the children of Israel and bid them that they make them fringes in the border of their garments.
Hey, brother, let me ask you a question, right? Do you feel like the older men have left a good example to the young men in the community? Only a few older men. What type of things you see the older men do when you was growing up around here? Huh? More leadership. Let me ask you a question. Houston, stay around for a little bit. Because he looks like a bit younger than you. If your mom asks, what's your age, brother? So he was 20 years younger than you. So he was looking up to your generation.
Right.
Right? Come around, brother. Let me look at this sign real quick before you go.
I gotta go. I come to do something. I got a job to do. I gotta go get
Real quick, Houston, go to Exodus 20 and 8. I just want to leave you with this as you go. What's your name, brother? Glenn? All right, Glenn, I'm letting you know this, Houston. We going over the true identity of the nation of Israel. God commanded us something very important that we should know this day. Read what you got.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 20, verse 8. Remember the Sabbath day.
Houston, do you remember the Sabbath day? When is the Sabbath? Okay, no problem, Sam. We're going to go over that real quick. Houston, when is the Sabbath day? It's Saturday, right?
Right.
And what are some things you should do? Glenn, did you know that Sabbath day was today? What are some things we are commanded to do on the Sabbath day?
My understanding is take the day easy because he took the day off.
Okay, took the day off. What about you, Mr. Houston? What should you do on the Sabbath day? Hey, y'all come around. Get out the road real quick. What we going over, men, is the Sabbath day. Very important. God commanded the nation of Israel to keep the Sabbath day. Read.
Verse 8, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shall thou work.
Wait a minute. 6 days you should do what?
6 days shall thou labor and do all thy work. But the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God.
So on the 7th day, what shouldn't you do?
Relax and drink a beer.
You shouldn't what? So, Mr. Houston, what shouldn't you be doing on the Sabbath day?
Relax and pray to God.
I got you, brother. Calm down. What should not we be doing on the Sabbath day?
Not drinking and being nasty.
Huh?
Not be drinking beer.
Yeah, but you shouldn't be working, Mr. Houston.
Right.
You shouldn't be working.
No.
Remember what we talked about. That's an example to the older men. My brother, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
22.
If anybody told you to keep the Sabbath day,
Yeah, it's Saturday.
Yeah, somebody told me that before.
did they tell you it was Saturday and then you ain't supposed to buy, sell, or work on Saturday? Nobody never told you that? What about you, young man? They told you that? You can't buy and sell on Saturday?
Yeah.
Nobody never told you that. Because believe it or not, our older generation has failed us. I'm gonna give you proof. I'm gonna give you proof our older generations failed us. What's your race? You don't know. See that, Mr. Houston? What's your race?
Black.
Black. You see that, Mr. Houston? What's your race?
I'm Jew.
He's Jew. What's your race? African American.
I'm a
You see
Jew.
that? So the information that you received, Mr. Houston, is stopped 20 years after you. Let me ask y'all a question. Which one of y'all familiar with the Bible? Raise your hand. You familiar with the Bible? Familiar with the Bible? Familiar with the Bible? A little bit? What about you? Not familiar. Come around. What does it say that our race is? Look on the sign. These are the 12 tribes of Israel. You come around, bro. It's all right. These are the 12 tribes of Israel. The so-called American blacks, the so-called African American are the children of Judah. We're from the tribe of Judah. Now my question to you, I ain't get your name. What's your name? Alex. My question to you is, have you read about African Americans in the Bible?
He might be Haitian. Tell him he might be a Levite.
Hold on, just calm down, brother. I see you got the zeal on you. Calm down.
He might be a Levite.
Where your father from?
He might be a Levite.
Michigan, so-called black man? So he'd be from the tribe of Judah. And you said what else?
What's that?
What you said your race was again?
Afro-American.
So you'll be from the tribe of Judah.
Yeah.
Young man, where's your father from? Let me show you something. Go to Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15.
Yep.
Verse 15.
Bring it up.
Let's go back to Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15. Matter of fact, go to Deuteronomy 28 and verse 37.
Hey,
Watch that.
bring up the food. But people don't know about the food.
Watch this. We're going to bring up something way more important than food. Read what you got.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 37.
Matter of fact, go to Isaiah 5 and 11.
Bring it the food.
Isaiah 5 and 11. We're going to bring up something similar to the food. Glenn, let me ask you a question. What time does most liquor stores open? Early in the morning. What about you, brother? What's your name? I get your name. Brian. When do most liquor stores open? Early, right? You a young man. Do you see a lot of the older men around you drunk?
Hey,
Sorta,
guess
right?
What? That don't mean you crap.
Let me ask you a question. What time did you start drinking this morning?
What does it matter?
I'm going to show you what it matters, because as a brother...
No, hold up. Wait a minute.
Hold on, Glenn, listen to this, because this is important. As a
Bro.
brother, I have to warn you from destruction.
Of course. You
That's
should.
our job. We must warn each other. Hold on, Brian, before you go, that's you, Brian. Before you go, we need to go over the color of Christ. Give me 1 second. Let me deal with this real quick. Watch this, read.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 5, verse 11. Woe unto them that rise up early in the morning.
God says, destruction unto them. You understand that? Who rise up early. Let's see if God going to destroy you for rising up early and praying. Let's see if God going to destroy you for rising up early to take care of your family. Read.
That they may follow strong drink.
They may do what?
That they may follow strong drink.
God say destruction unto you. You waking up early in the morning, drinking strong drink.
Okay, well, no problem.
God said He will destroy you for that thing.
Right.
1 Corinthians 3:16. See, brother, the thing is, you have a lot of wisdom, but don't let the drinking and the smoking cloud your judgment. Because if you out here drinking and smoking drunk, and it ain't even 12 o'clock trying to teach young men, you are being a hypocrite.
Right.
We are not to be hypocrites as men.
Right.
Read what you got.
This is the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 3, verse 16.
Brian, this is what God commands us to do to our community. We must go and correct each other, right?
Know ye not that you are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God dwelleth in you?
Brother, the Spirit of God is dwelling within you if you know you from the nation of Israel already. That's important information to know, right?
If any man defile the temple of God,
You're defiling the temple of God, right?
him shall God destroy.
God said He will destroy you for that, Glenn. James 4:17. God said He will destroy you for that, Glenn. You understand that? What you got?
Read the passage that was going back early in the morning.
Isaiah 5 and 11.
Read that again for me.
1 second. Read what you got. 17.
It's the book of James, chapter 4, verse 17. Therefore, to him that knoweth to do good.
Now, you know you're not supposed to be drunk. You know that, right? You know you ain't supposed to be drinking this darn early in the morning.
Right.
You know that much.
Okay, I'm saying it. I'm not a normal guy.
Watch this.
Come on.
Therefore,
Bring
to
it,
him
bring it.
that knoweth to do good, and
Yeah.
doeth it not,
Yeah.
to him it is sin.
It's more sin that you know better, bro.
I know.
You got a lot of information you can teach us, the younger men. Why?
Not really fucked up. I'm screaming my language, but
Deuteronomy
not fucked up.
24.
Not fucked up, but
Folks that be like, I know what's going on. I know everything around here. Like the whole world, I know it now because you guys taught me that shit.
But the thing is, what example are you showing to the younger men? That's the most important part. If we went through things as us growing
up, you know what my example is?
Our part is to change the younger generation.
My example is riding from a bike, come over here and hear you all talking and drinking a beer, sit down and relax and listening to you.
But it's too early to be drinking, my brother.
It could be water. How you know what's in here?
Come on, you gonna
judging me? You don't know what's in here. Wait, hold on, wait a minute, cuz.
Read it one more time.
How you know what's in here?
Judas,
so you
8 verse 24. Now therefore, O brethren, let us show an example to our brethren.
We must show an example to our brethren. Read.
Because their hearts depend upon us. Their hearts depend upon us.
You know what it means by their heart depend on us?
Yeah.
Brother, I asked you, what was your race? And what did you tell me? He said he didn't know.
Right.
They heart depend on us.
Right.
If we don't get our stuff together as men, we're going to have a generation who don't know who they are. They're not going to care for each other. They're going to kill each other. They're not going to care for their women. We're going to have another generation who's full of gunshot wounds and good Samaritans.
Right.
We can't have that. We can't have that.
You cracking, bro.
That's why I told you to go back to Isaiah, because you got to understand, when it said early morning doesn't mean when the sun rises. Early morning means it started from media,
anywhere,
music, all that stuff that you talking about, when it rises up, all the kids that's lost fathers,
all kinds of shit going
early
on.
in the morning. If I waking up and I'm only got a mother, that's early in the morning, so I'm already blind, I'm already a step behind.
Read what you got. Read what you got real quick. I'm going to show you. I'm going to go back to it. Read.
This is the book of Mark, chapter 16, verse 2. And very early in the morning, the first day of the week, they came into the scepter at the rising of the sun.
So early morning is what?
At the rising of the sun.
Early morning is what?
At the rising of the sun.
Go back to Isaiah 5:11. I agree with the communications, the education. I agree with all of that. But this is the point we're talking about. Read.
Woe unto them that rise up early
At the rising of the sun. Read.
in the morning, that they may follow strong drink.
What is a strong drink?
Anything.
That's liquor.
Right.
That's liquor. That's not talking about the education system. That's not talking about the media. That's talking about liquor. Now, do we have to fix the media? Yeah, how do we fix that? We make righteous music. We teach brothers.
What did he say
Hey, young man, real quick.
What did he say about a strong drink? Because even Moses drank a strong drink.
Read what scripture?
Come on. Moses drank
Yeah,
a
what
strong
scripture you ever
drink.
seen Moses drink a strong drink?
I didn't see it, but there's a scripture in there that said,
Look it up for me. We'll go to it.
when
Go to
Moses,
Revelation chapter 1
when
and
his
verse
daughter
1.
defiled him, he was
Let's go
drunk.
to Revelation 1 because I know you got to go, but I don't want you to miss this.
So what he drunken off of?
Who said Moses was ever drunk?
It's in the Bible.
What scripture you got, man? You read that before? That Moses was drunk?
No.
Read what you got.
Revelation chapter 1, verse 1. The revelation of Jesus Christ.
Young man, this is what you came up here asking your question. I don't want you to leave without getting your question answered. What color is Jesus Christ? Read.
Which God gave it to him to show unto his servants. Revelation chapter 1, verse 1. The revelation of Jesus Christ, which God gave unto him to show.
Verse 14, read.
Verse 14. His head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow. And his eyes were as a flame of fire. And his feet like unto fine brass, as if they. Verse 14. His head and his hairs were white like wool.
Young man, who has woolly hair? You know what woolly hair is?
Nigger. No, Niger.
You know what woolly hair is?
Yeah, Niger.
Like Afro hair, like the brother was saying, like Negro hair, right?
Niger.
Read.
His head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow. And his eyes were as a flame of fire.
His eyes were as a flame of fire, read.
And his feet like unto fine brass.
What color is brass, roughly?
Brown.
Brown. What do you say? What color is brass?
It's brown. It's like a tannish brown,
Like a goldish copper color, right?
Yeah.
When I look at your feet, is it safe to say the top of your feet is the same color as your arms?
No, not really. Almost, but
It's the same texture, right?
yeah. pretty
Same as your face, correct?
much. Yeah.
It's the same exact color, right?
Yeah.
So if his feet was like brass, what color do you think his face was? It was the same thing. Watch this. Keep reading.
As if they burned in a furnace. And his voice as the sound of many waters. Verse 15. And his feet like unto fine brass.
Let's see how dark Jesus Christ was. Read.
As if,
read.
as if they burn in a furnace.
You ever seen somebody burn food before? Cooking?
But guess
Burn
what?
your mom? What color does the food turn when she burn it?
It's brown, black.
Straight
As,
black. Straight black. Read it again.
as if they burn in a furnace. And his voice as the sound of many waters.
So they say Jesus Christ was so black as if he burned in the furnace. As if he burned in the furnace. Now my question to you would be, why would they change the color of Jesus Christ? White prick. That's a good one. That's a good one. Go to Matthew chapter 1 and verse 21. Why would they change the color of Jesus Christ? Because who do they say Jesus died for? Us who? Slaves. Where do you read that from?
His chosen people. He had a chosen people.
Hey, Matthew 15:24. You absolutely right. That's who he died for. He died for the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans.
That's right.
Because we were slaves.
He chosen people.
Read what you got. Watch this.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 15, verse 24. But he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Verse 24. But he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
So he said he's only sent to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So what does that mean we must do? We must get right, right? So from what you know, how old are you? 15. From what you know, what is a man supposed to look like in the community?
Outstanding. It could be many things.
Hold on, let the young man answer. Don't answer for him. He old enough to know. 1 Kings 2:2. What do you think a man should look like in the community?
I'm about to chill out, but I'm right.
Huh?
Y'all not
Decent like how?
there.
Okay. Do you think men should be smoking? No. Do you think men should be drinking early in the morning? No. Look what God says, read. God agrees with you. Watch this, read.
This is the book of 1 Kings, chapter 2, verse 2. I go the way of all the earth. Be thou strong, therefore.
So whether you walking, you in the car, or you in the bike, God say do what?
Be thou strong, therefore.
Be strong, therefore. You can't be strong when you're drunk. You can't be strong when you got lung cancer. You can't be strong when you on drugs. God say be that strong, therefore, read.
And show thyself a man.
Show yourself a man. How do you show yourself a man, read?
And keep the charge of the Lord thy God, to walk in his ways, to keep his statutes and his commandments. And his commandments.
So you show yourself a man by doing what?
Eat the proper thing.
By keeping God's commandments.
That's right.
We used to scream black power while heroin was pushed. But at the end of the day, nothing's in vain. IUIC has been given a vision. The tents of Judah has risen. Many has attempted the mission. Minor murmuring, omitting, and missing the mark. Just reading that he had the flame of fire in his eyes gave us the spark. We on Paul's mission. We out on the road, purple and gold. From Mexico, Cuba, Haiti, Ghana, Sierra Leone. 144,000 boots banging, concrete crackling. These are how men repented at heart. The scriptures is proof. IUIC, we deliver the truth.